Welcome to Tactical Edge, a brand new podcast from 4th Air Force Headquarters. I'm Siobhan Cleveland with 4th Air Force Public Affairs. Welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to another edition of Tactical Edge. I'm Siobhan Cleveland, 4th Air Force Public Affairs. Today we'll be discussing senior leader development with 4th Air Force Vice Commander Colonel Mark Richey and 4th Air Force Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Cynthia Villa. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Siobhan. It's great to be here. Good day to you.
Good to be here, Siobhan. Thanks for having us.
So I'm glad you guys are here. How was your holiday weekend?
Thanks a bunch for asking. It was great. Went to a small town parade where they had a kids parade, bikes, a lot of local participation, and it was truly a fantastic day. And then that night we had fireworks and miniature golf. So thanks for asking. It was a great time.
Very nice, Chief.
Well, I don't mean to brag or anything, Colonel Richey, but I did have the opportunity to go to Napa for about 3 days, and then shortly after that, went to Disneyland, and to follow on that, we went to Hawaii for 6 days, and, fireworks over Pearl Harbor. That was pretty awesome. Again, sir, I'm not trying to rub it in or anything.
Oh, that's okay. I can understand the excitement of where you're at. So we'll set you up with a small town parade another 4th of July.
Very nice, very nice. So today's topic, senior leader development, and we'll be discussing both enlisted and officer side of this. Sir, why this topic?
Thanks for asking, Siobhan. That's a great question. You know, my personal example was that I didn't get any guidance on how to engage in senior leader development till after I had made 06, which is pretty surprising, right? And it's not an editorial of what was going on at the time. Everybody gets busy, and everybody's trying to fight the fires that are closest to them. But just over a year ago, basically a year and a half ago, General Mitch Richardson and myself had the opportunity to work on the MAF development team board with General Berger, our MAGCOM deputy commander. And we all identified that there was a need to improve our efforts in the senior leader development field. So we've gotten together in terms of the MAF side and worked together to try to come up to improve our efforts in that realm, and it's been very successful. How about you, Chief?
You know, sir, I had a slightly different experience. I was lucky enough that I had won Senior NCO of the Year years back at the wing level, then at the NAF level, and because of that nomination, I was privy to the courses, if you will, the continuous professional military education, and the opportunities that are out there within our Air Force for enlisted. And but I will say that had I not been competing during that time, I'm not sure if I would have been in the know of what these opportunities were. So that's where it started for me. Then I pursued the first sergeant special duty, and then I became even more aware of the opportunities that are out there for us.
Yes, and Siobhan, I would say, beyond my personal experience, what we are seeing is that as I'm doing unit visits in 4th Air Force and having these opportunities to engage our high potential officers and what's available in the senior leader development realm, we're finding that a lot of people were not exactly aware of what was going on. So we're learning that there's a need for information, and most importantly, the big picture of why we're doing senior leader development is to make sure that our citizen airmen have the opportunity to have the best possible leadership available.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that intro into what senior leader development is. What are the 4 pillars, if you'd like to discuss that?
Chief, would you like me to take this one?
Please do, sir.
Yeah. So when it comes to the officer side of senior leader development, we have a 4 pillars model, which helps people understand the breadth that is valued at the senior leader development level. Now, let's be very clear, Siobhan. The goal of senior leader development is truly to help people be equipped to handle executing at the strategic level as a senior leader. So personally, and many others I've spoken with, we do feel like leadership is forged at the unit level. As a section commander, as a flight commander, as an aircraft commander, as a squadron commander. But the objective of senior leader development on the officer side is to try to get people a breadth of experience that would help them sit at the strategic table with our active duty counterparts and execute, in terms of strategic matters. So specifically, the 4 pillars that we're looking for on the officer side that we feel will help people understand, getting a good breadth of experience to bring to the table are broken down into 1, joint, 2, 06 command, 3, above the wing, and 4, NCR, which stands for National Capital Region. Now, Siobhan, I do want to step back and briefly speak to the senior leader development journey. I want to make sure that people understand that the 90% solution for the Air Force Reserve and the officer side is people executing the UTCs, the unit tasking codes, in their mission at their units. So we're not prescribing to everybody to go out and try to pursue these 4 pillars, but that people understand that there's going to be a small percentage of people that if they would like to pursue that path, that those 4 pillars are the way to go. I'll pause there so I can hand it over to Chief so she can discuss the pillars on the enlisted side, but and I'll get more into that later.
So great points. And although on the enlisted side, we don't necessarily refer to them as pillars, we do have various tiers, right? We have that pyramid of tiers when it comes to special duties. Let me take that back. Key billets, for example, command chief opportunities and other senior enlisted leadership key billet opportunities that are within our Air Force Reserve Command enterprise, or some of them in a joint environment like you mentioned. And quite frankly, some of these key billets or positions sometimes are directly in support of our active duty teammates or total force opportunity there. So what we look for within our enlisted pyramid, if you will, is again, that leadership as a senior NCO, as a senior leader, that leadership at the squadron level, then at the group level, at the wing level, and above, depending on what opportunities you're going to pursue. So if you're going to compete for example, opportunities at the command or command chief opportunities, functional, you name it, that's what we want to see, that breadth and depth, no different than what you just shared, sir. And quite frankly is what we ask of our senior NCOs. We're going to assume, and I say that carefully, that there's no question that you're good at your job. We're pretty certain that you're knocking it out of the park as a senior NCO within your organization. So now let's discuss that leadership, right? That mentorship and development of airmen. What does that look like? And most importantly, what does that look like outside of your immediate organization? What impact are you having outside of your squadron, outside the group, and even outside of the wing, if it applies? So all-inclusive breadth and depth when it comes to pursuing other opportunities, key billets within our Air Force.
Great. And, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because some people might be listening to this podcast wondering, well, hey, I'm either an officer or enlisted, and why would I want to know about the other path? And the bottom line to that is if you're a Chief Master Sergeant on the path, then you definitely want to understand the senior leader development path for those around you. And then I would say also, if you're a senior leader or working towards becoming a senior leader, it's very important for you to understand your Chief Master Sergeants and their needs when it comes to career progression. So thank you, Siobhan.
Okay, and you discussed what the 4 pillars were. Why do we use the 4 pillars?
I spoke to that, Siobhan, and thank you. The key to that, and I want to reemphasize, is the importance of the 4 pillars. Again, is we're not trying to create a culture of people who are box checking and trying to get it. As a matter of fact, if your goal someday is to be a general officer, it's not required that you have all the 4 pillars. It's just a guideline to help us kind of determine the breadth of experience that you've had or what you might need. And when you really think about it, why are we putting forth this 4 pillars model? Because really, when you think about it, our job in the reserve very often is to be a backstop or assist for our active duty counterparts, right? And with that in mind, we all need to be prepared to step in and do the job on a full-time basis as citizen airmen. And really, if you think about it from an aircrew perspective, as an example, and there's plenty of other examples, but if a reserve crew is flying into a combat zone, the enemy is certainly not going to go, hey, everybody, put your weapons down, don't shoot. That's a reserve crew. We have to be at the same level as everybody else. And that also applies in the staff world and in the strategic leadership realm. We have to be equipped, enabled, and prepared to step in and do the job on a moment's notice. And so, when it comes to 4 pillars, when we talk about professional military education and things like that, we want to make sure that we're an educated force that is ready and able to step in and do the job on a moment's notice. Would you like to add to that, Chief?
Yes, sir. I would love to. You mentioned something that I often get into conversations about. You mentioned box checking, and it makes me cringe because, box checking, paper tigers, I'll often get in certain venues, enlisted calls, they'll come out, hey, somebody will raise their hand, hey, Chief, do you want me to be the best medic or the best wrench turner there is, or do you want me to be a box checker? I said, I want you to be the best medic or the best wrench turner there is, and I also want you to be in the know and continuously developing yourself. We don't need box checkers. We don't need paper tigers because if you've checked every box and and you're a paper tiger, you might have the personality of a doorknob and could not lead people if your life depended on it. So we want a well-rounded whole airman concept teammate. Those are the teammates that we want leading our ranks. And then the question will also come up, and maybe you can help me out with this, sir, is, well, if I want to pursue and if I want to grow within my Air Force career and possibly be a functional, possibly be a command chief, you name it, key billet, why should I have a degree? And I get into some good conversations about that, but I'd like to hear your perspective on that, sir.
Yeah, well, when it comes to education levels, it's interesting because on the officer side as well, we have our educational delineator when it comes to the senior leader role in regards to a master's degree. And people ask me the same thing. Why do I need a master's degree to be, a great senior leader? And I would say to that having a degree in your case or a master's degree in my case or whatever it might be, that doesn't necessarily make you a better leader. Mm-hmm. But very often what it is an example of what you have been able to commit to, accomplish, and show, particularly in regards to our active duty counterparts, that we are an educated, well-rounded force that's able to step in and assume the role, whether it's through high levels of education, high levels of experience, or high levels of just having opportunities to have had already led. And it does go back, Chief, to what I said earlier about what I feel is the 90% solution is citizen airmen in the unit fulfilling UTCs. And what we're talking about here is senior leader development. And so if you want to be at the unit and you want to execute a UTC and defend our nation, I thank you for your service. And I'm really excited about what you're doing personally on behalf of my family. But then when it comes to senior leader development, that's a little bit different of a ball game, and it takes a demonstrated record of achievement, accomplishment, and capacity, and to execute at the strategic level.
Yes, sir, and I believe you would agree. As senior leaders, we set the tone and we set the example within our formations. So we have to ask ourselves, what example, what tone are we going to set within our own formations? And being in the know of the opportunities that are out there for continuous development is key. Yes, you're great at your job and you're proficient and you're the best of the best, but you're also in the know and pursuing this continuous development. Because I don't know about you, sir, I'm still reading books on how to become a better leader.
Absolutely.
It's never ending.
All the time, Chief. It's a never-ending pursuit of growth and learning and just trying to become the best citizen airman you can possibly be.
Yes, sir. And when we have the privilege and the honor to serve in these positions, we owe it to our teammates.
Absolutely. And that's a great point that you bring up, because I understand we've all been in various statuses, and we've all participated in various levels throughout our career. And the beautiful thing about the citizen airman construct is that we're able to on-ramp, off-ramp, participate more, participate less, depending on the demands of your life. And we definitely value the three legs of the citizen airman concept: the personal life, the civilian career, and the military career. And it is a balance at all times. And what we want to make sure, though, when it comes to really digging deep and trying to become the best senior leader you can through educational opportunities, through experience opportunities, and otherwise, is that you really, really take care or manage to the best of your ability your family life and your personal life. Because at the end of the day, you're going to come to a point when your military career is done, and you want to make sure that those who have taken care of you along your journey are still around. So we understand that. And I know when I went through PME, through my courses, I understand not everything I learned was absolutely 100% germane to what was going on. But I also understood that we want to make sure that our force, the citizen airman, again, is a highly educated and capable force with the intellectual capability to stand there with our active duty counterparts and execute at the strategic level.
Okay, excellent. I think that about wraps up the conversation for today. Is there anything else that either of you would like to add?
So you brought up a good point earlier, and this is something that I always refer to, that seamless transition, right? Our uniforms, our name tapes, they say U.S. Air Force. It doesn't say reservist. It doesn't say guardsman. It doesn't say active duty. It says United States Air Force. So it should be one team, no seam, and we got to bring it strong. That credibility piece must be there, exemplifying our core values, and just continuously making mission happen, and being that reserve citizen airman that Air Force Reserve Command is entrusting us to be.
Oh, that's a great point, Chief. I would love to end on that point. So thanks for your time, and thanks for joining me here today to share this.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you both for stopping by. Thank you, sir. I believe this is your first time on the show.
It is my first time on the show, and I'm really excited with what we're doing. I do believe that having the asynchronous digital delivery capabilities is important, because our citizen airmen, they do want information, they do want to hear from their leadership, but they're not always able to do it on a schedule. So I like this platform, as it can allow people, when they're driving to work, mowing the lawn, at the gym, whatever it might be, that we can share these messages. So thank you for doing this, Siobhan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief. Until next time, that's Tactical Edge.